What's up, guys? Zim Jones back in the house again for another in-theater review. And tonight I have a special guest, a new guest, and it is not Steggs Jr. I know it looks like him, but it's the better-looking Steggs Jr. It's JimBob.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Glad to be here.
Ooh, what a gentleman he is.
I try my best.
So last night we did a double date. Took the ladies, my Mason, his Lee. We took them to go see Captain Phillips. And I must say, Captain Phillips was a highly anticipated movie since, I think, summertime, since I first heard about it, and so JimBob could probably attest. And I've been looking forward to it like crazy, trying to keep my expectations down real low, because when you keep them real high, you can be disappointed much easier. And I'm sure JimBob would attest.
I agree 100% here.
100%. So, anywho, the movie again we saw was Captain Phillips. The movie stars Tom Hanks. Another big name would be Catherine Keener, his wife in the movie, and a lot of new faces, people I've never really seen before. And we'll get into that further down in our review. The movie was directed by David Greengrass. He's an English director. He's done a few of the Bourne movies. He did Matt Damon's Green Zone, which I wasn't real big on. So he's kind of probably just waiting to just blow up in Hollywood. And we will tell you throughout this review whether we think he will or not. So, JimBob, please tell us the plot of the movie.
Well, the plot, first of all, it's a true story. So, going into it, I was very excited because I love true stories, especially stuff that I remember.
Me too.
True story happened around April 2009. I remember where I was. I was back in college still, and I remember watching this story unfold on the news. But quick summary of the movie and the events that actually happened was Captain Rich Phillips, played by Tom Hanks in the movie. He is a captain for a cargo ship, the Maersk, Alabama, in this instance. And he's going on this run around the Horn of Africa, which is mostly Somalia and a bunch of other rebellish countries in Africa, to deliver supplies, food, water, stuff that actually the people from those countries can use.
Millions of dollars worth of stuff,
yes.
Not to mention.
It was, if you go see this movie, you'll see all the cargo that's on this ship and why it's so important.
Astronomical.
Yes. So they're going, making this dangerous run, and it's known for piracy. Somalia pirates are known in this area. And Captain Phillips knows this. In the beginning of the movie, he's doing a lot of research on his computer, and he wants to go through the drills with his crew. And a lot of the build-up to what happens in the movie, I think the first half hour, 45 minutes, really builds you up for what's going to happen in this movie with the Somali pirates, which end up try to take board of his ship, and they successfully do. And pretty much the whole movie is showing us the real-life events that happened as these pirates took over the ship. They tried to take control of it, but Captain Phillips was smarter than them, obviously.
Much smarter.
He knew the ship, his crew knew the ship. They knew how to not let them take control of it. Mm-hmm. And when it comes down to it, when they weren't able to take the ship, they took Captain Phillips hostage, thinking that they can take him back to Somalia and get millions and millions of dollars for him.
Yeah, and that's one thing too. Like they wanted millions of dollars, and just things kind of fell through the wayside by that. And they offered them $30,000 to get off the ship, which is a lot of money in essence. But they wanted millions, because one thing you learn about this movie is you learn the humanization of these pirates. You learn, you don't want to feel bad for them, but you do in a sense, because they have all these bosses in Somalia putting their life on the line basically to get them all this merchandise, or they'll be killed. So all of a sudden you want to feel for these guys, but then no, they're attacking Americans. You don't want to feel for them. But and all that money they could have took, that wasn't enough to them. And the one thing about this movie, I really thought the cool thing was, like JimBob said, was how Tom Hanks outsmarted all of them. And he did that by being a really nice, sweet guy. He was a manipulator in a very positive way. He was constantly trying to give them reasons to stay away from his crew that were below deck. Hey, let's go get some water. You guys look thirsty. If we're going to go to the energy dock, or we're going to go to the cargo area, we better get something to eat. I'll do that. That was just to delay time.
There was also a scene where they first took over the ship, and his crew, he's having them hide down below the ship, and while he's talking to the pirates, he's holding the button on his walkie-talkie so they can hear what's going on up there and where they're going to go.
It's like if people say, "Oh, politics always gets the people in the main jobs, like the captain or the president." Well, this guy earned the job of being a captain because he was the smartest guy on the ship, and there was a ton of smart guys on the ship. Don't get me wrong; there wasn't just a bunch of idiots in him. Like, people wonder how people get jobs. Well, this guy earned his job as the captain of a ship. And that's what I really liked about the character of Tom Hanks, which we'll get into. What did we like about the characters? Number one, the main character of the movie is obviously, Tom Hanks.
Captain Phillips is named after him.
Yeah. He played, Captain Richard Phillips. And the guy was very intelligent, obviously. He definitely had like a Boston type accent, but not real deep Boston. It was more like outskirts of, definitely New England accent, I'll say. And I really liked his character. Tom Hanks, in my opinion, he's definitely going to be up for an Oscar.
I said this to you last night. We walked out, I said, Tom Hanks, Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
You agreed with me.
Yeah.
I think his performance, he takes you from the lowest low to the highest high and back and forth.
Right, and JimBob and I were talking on the way back to both of our cars with the girls, and he's like, definitely Oscar nomination. And I liked how JimBob did jump the gun. He didn't say Oscar winner. I said no, because I reminded him that Matthew McConaughey has a real big movie coming out in December, Dallas Buyers Club, where he lost all this weight. And I just have that feeling he might do really well. Because look at the last person who lost all that weight, got Best Actor. Tom Hanks of Philadelphia. He lost all that weight for that role. Somehow the critics and all the people in the Actors Guild and all those people in Hollywood, they love actors who put their bodies through the ringer to be a part of a role in a movie. So I think
Christian Bale did that as well in The Fighter.
Christian Bale, and he was Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
So it just proves that if you put your body through hell as an actor, you're going to be definitely nominated, if not win. So I think this movie could be really tested for Best Actor. I think Tom Hanks has a lot of competition this year.
Yeah.
All the other actors, they were just kind of like no names. I recognized one of the midshipmen. Yes. And he's a character actor, but I don't even know his name. But like you'll probably say, oh yeah, I know what M. Jones was saying. I think you'll see a guy on there. You're like, oh that guy, I've seen that guy before.
I think he's the guy. He was on a few episodes of Friday Night Lights, the TV series. We're thinking of the same guy.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, kind of had the raspy
the Texas
voice there.
guy. Yeah, that is the guy. And I don't know his name. I'm sorry, I don't know
either. No.
But I really think that the actors were perfect. All the people on crew, they were all believable. I felt their fear. You could really tell their emotions. You could tell that they were scared to death. And they're mainly scared. And I kept saying to JimBob, why would these people, if they're in seas that have a lot of piracy going on, why would you not have protection? Why wouldn't you have guns? All they had was real big, like, super soakers, basically. But it was just a bunch, it was almost like something a firefighter would use to take a fire out. It was just a hose.
Well, I mean, and they were effective to a point, but then one of them slipped in the movie and it made an opening for the pirates to get on the ship.
Yeah, So I mean, like, what kind of defense is that? Now, I guarantee, because this ship set an example, I'm sure we have nothing but artillery on every ship we have now. So it's always a guinea pig in some form or another. I really thought the casting was perfect. There was absolutely the best casting possible. Catherine Keener had a really small role. She was in 40-Year-Old Virgin. She had a very tiny role, and that was Tom Hanks' wife. We kind of got to know her for maybe 5 minutes, and that was it. And that was the very beginning. That's not ruining anything either. No. I would never give you a spoiler, and I would give you a warning if I would. So that she was okay. I mean, there was nothing really. I mean, I think anyone could have done that role. I don't know. She just played like a concerned wife, and that was it. It was just like, hello and goodbye. But for you, what is your opinion on Oscars this year in February? Is it an Oscar-nominated movie? Is there an Oscar-nominated actor, Oscar-nominated actress? What do you think?
Well, we already said Tom Hanks for Captain Richard Phillips. I think personally that he should be nominated for lead actor.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you said, I don't know his chances of winning, but it's definitely worth a nomination.
Right.
Supporting actor. This is a big if, maybe
I'm feeling it.
The lead pirate, Somali pirate.
Yeah.
I don't know the actor's name. It's a crazy name.
His real name is Barkhad Ali or something like that, and he plays. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but he played Muse. That was his name, Muse, like the band Muse. And I have to agree with JimBob. I wasn't going to say it, but I've seen a lot of iffy supporting actors and actresses nominations. Young kids and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like no, But I think this isn't too much of a stretch, like JimBob said. I think Muse, the character Muse, kind of deserves a Best Supporting Actor nod because he was good. He was real good.
He had you believing that he was this really, like he was the one that you maybe wanted to humanize with.
Yes.
Out of the pirates, because it starts out with him at this camp, and they're like, "You need to bring in millions for the bosses, or
a lot of pressure,
you're gonna die."
A lot of pressure.
And I mean, and him and Tom Hanks, they kind of had this love-hate relationship. Like Tom Hanks was just trying to make him do the right thing, and he's like, "This is the best I can do."
Yeah.
But then there were times where he just lost it, and then he also calmed some of the other pirates.
Right.
But I mean, he was a good actor, and he kind of humanized the pirates to a sense. But I was looking at pictures last night of the real Muse captain.
It looks exact same.
It looks identical.
Yeah,
It's scary.
the casting was perfection with looks.
Mm-hmm.
The actor and the real guy Muse look exactly alike.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they actually let the real guy out to make this movie because it looks so real. The one thing I read about this movie that I thought was so cool is the 4 pirates that boarded that ship. That was the first time the actors that were non-pirates saw the actors. So the first meeting they ever had with the 4 pirates was when they boarded the ship with guns, and they looked like real Samoan pirates. So I thought that was really cool because Tom Hanks said in an interview that I literally was a little scared because I just saw these guys for the first time, and they had guns pointing at my head yelling at me. So our reactions for all the people that were up there with the captain were all pretty much real.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. That made it more fun for me. And it reminded me of Sir Michael Caine when his reaction to the Joker in The Dark Knight when he opened the elevator and he shot that little shotgun. That was a real reaction. Michael Caine didn't know that was happening, and he didn't know how that was going to really be. So again, it's kind of like it's a real factor to a movie. So it's fake and real at the same time. I thought that was really cool. So if I would give this movie a score of like 1 to 5, 1 being awful, 5 being the best thing I've ever seen, I would give it a 4.5. I would give it 4.5.
I agree. We talked about this earlier before we even knew each other's numbers.
Yeah.
And 4.5 is what I was going with.
We met right there.
Yeah.
And the reason I think we both will agree, and I'll let you chime in if this also, we both said it's not a 5 because I heard some of it was dramatized, so there was some Hollywood involved, which I understand. I mean, we've said for years, like all these movies, oh yeah, it was a true story, but there was so much Hollywood with it. It's the same cliche bullshit we say. I don't really care that it was Hollywood. I'm glad it was. It made it interesting, and I really connected with it. I was like, man, I was really hoping he'd survive. And that's something you'll find out in the movie. So I give it a 4.5 only because I think they actually took a lot away from the truth, which is kind of like on the scale of 0 Dark 30. It's still a good movie, but the trueness of it, I just don't know how. That's one thing I worry about.
I gave it a 4.5 as well. Just a few notes of why I gave it a 4.5, and it didn't get the perfect 5 for me. One, just because it was over 2 hours long. I mean, and most of the movie takes place on this lifeboat, which you'll find out, where they take Captain Phillips hostage. I understand, I think it was like 93 hours they kept him hostage. That was where most of it took place. There were some parts where I was like, okay, what's going to happen next? Are they going to get him or are they not? And it kept me on the edge of my seat still, but at parts I was just getting a little irritated with it.
Yeah, I agree.
I enjoyed, the realness factor of most of it. I mean, as you said, there were some, Hollywood effects thrown in there to buff it up a little bit. There were some scenes. There was just one scene in the water, which I don't think that really happened at all. But I liked, and some people may not like this, but I liked the camera work. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Friday Night Lights, the movie Friday Night Lights. It was just like one handheld camera, and it was shaking around. It felt like you were there, like all nervous. Yeah. The ocean water, it felt like you were bobbing on there. Yeah. And I also really liked to see, just like all these other these Army war movies. I mean, this is a real story, just like 0 Dark 30, seeing our Navy SEALs kick ass.
Yeah, the Navy SEALs were so badass in this movie.
Yeah.
And as soon as you see them, you're like, okay, shit's going down. Everything's going to be positive from here on out. Like, you have so much confidence in these people because they go through hell. Basically, they go through hell to become a Navy SEAL. So the movie was fantastic. I mean, if it was 100% accurate, I don't know. I mean, how would you know? Probably Captain Phillips knows, but I don't know. But the movie was fantastic. It has like a solid 95% like that on Rotten Tomatoes, 97.
Yeah.
And it deserves to be. It's a phenomenal movie. And it was just something so refreshing, so fun, and something totally new. You don't know a lot about the Somali pirates. We've learned about the Somali fighters from like Black Hawk Down, but we don't really know anything about the pirates. So this movie kind of puts that type of movie on the map. So I like that. I like the novelty factor. So I really did like the movie. Give it a 4.5 out of 5. So does JimBob.
Yes.
But I promise I'll have a Blu-ray update up real soon. I've just been so busy trying to keep up with things. I have a new family member in this home, which you will meet next time. So make sure you stay tuned. And that's pretty much the reason I have not been really watching as many movies and updating. So I apologize for that. But until then, you take it easy and
Peace.
okay, bye.